Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the fastest podcast on the airwaves today. It is the Cat's Corner podcast with your host, Ernest the Cat Miller, WWE legend, WCW legend, an actor in an Academy Award-winning film, The Wrestler, a three-time world karate champion, and I am your co-host, Big Shug Keziah. On this microphone, I spit fire, and always the truth and nothing but the truth. Welcoming today, back for the second time, the legend, Ron Reis of WCW. Ron, how are you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Hey, Big Ray. Big Ray, we don't have to announce that he's back for the second time because people haven't seen the first time yet.
Well, but for us, he's back.
Ray, I think the first time was so good that Ernest, I updid Ernest so he doesn't want anybody to see it.
Right. We had technical difficulty.
Big Ron, you look good, man. You look like you look good, man. What's going on with you?
My wife's been cooking the dinner, so it's been a tough time to get the food. You know, it's a good way to lose weight as your wife cooks.
Tell us about your lovely wife. How long have you guys been married?
My wife and I have been married 26 years, and this guy, Ernest Miller, introduced us back in the day. And I love Ernest 360 days out of the year, and 5 days, I hate him. But it's one of the best things that ever happened.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. How many kids? Any kids?
Just one kid.
Oh, yeah? And what's his name? What's his name?
Jacob Reese.
Big Jacob.
How tall is he? Living up in North Carolina. He's working for Empire Distributors up there, and he's doing great. He's married to the lovely, my daughter-in-law, Maddie, and life is really good for him.
So he's working
on his
for
way
him
tomorrow to Texas-Georgia game out in Austin. So,
are you? Are you?
Not me. I'm not cool enough for that.
So Big Ron, let me ask you this.
Yes.
I got a question for you already.
I got an answer for you.
Okay, then. How is it being a family man?
Now, a word from our sponsor. It's Resite, RE-SITE.com, Resite.com.
We're Resite. Of course we offer all-inclusive site work. We're Resite. Of course we have a dynamic site crew. We're Resite. We have secure foundations. We're Resite. Of course we're good stewards. Resite redefines the way site work is done. Contact us at resite.com. It's RE-SITE.com.
It's good. I mean, I always knew I wanted to have a family. Had a fun time wrestling and traveling around and seeing the sights. And towards I want to say my second to third year of wrestling, I met my wife and knew that I was around that 28, 29-year-old age, and it was time to settle down.
So was it hard to make that transition from being on the road, being around all the fans, and traveling the road by yourself?
And the rats. Don't forget about the ring rats.
Ray, we're not going to cut over us, man. We're not going to do that. So how was it? How was it, Ron?
It was good. It was good before I was married, and it was good after I was married.
See, that's good, man. That's good. That transition now. So now, do you watch any of the content that's out there now? AEW.
I try to as much as I can, but I go to bed early, and most of that stuff is on at 9:00 at night, and I usually go to bed about 8:39. So.
And I've noticed you. I don't see you on any of the indie shows.
No, well, I just had knee replacement 2 months ago, so I'm officially on the IR for a little bit. The doctor told me to take it easy and no bumping the knee, so my wife has me on lockdown.
Now, what did you do before you got into wrestling?
I was a college basketball player that was going to be the greatest NBA player of all time. I was going to knock Michael Jordan off his titles, and it never really worked out. I went and played basketball in Europe for a while, and it did not work out there. Came back and had absolutely nothing going on, and I got with Big John Studd, and he had the idea that he wanted to tag together and do
Wait a minute. Slow down, Big Ron. We got all day. So Big Ron Studd, how did you meet him?
So Big John Stud, my basketball agent
Oh,
was
John.
Bill Duffy, who is
Okay.
this was not this was much more before he was the NBA agent of the decade that he is now. And he knew John and put me in contact with him. I met with him, and he was wanting to get back into the business, but did not really want to do the WWE grind. He wanted to do more of the WCW grind, and he wanted to do like a revamp of the big machines. And I was going to be machine number 2, and he's going to be machine number 1.
Yeah, how tall were you?
I've been 7'2" forever.
You're not 7'2" now, Big Ron. I hate to tell you that. You're like 6'8", 6'9".
There is no way I'm 6'9".
Bro, listen. I stood next to you. I'm 6'2". If you 7 feet tall, I'm 6'6".
Well, all I'm telling you is like a doorway is 6'9", and I still have to duck.
Okay, all right. You're a big man. Let's just say
Yes.
you're a big man. I want to tell you this. You were my favorite giant in WCW.
Thank you.
My favorite giant. You were fun. You were now. Let's name off some of the guys you worked closely with when you was in WCW. Let's add the power plant. Name some of those guys.
Well, so I was really weird. I started out at the power plant very early with when I was coming in, Paul Levesque was just leaving. He was down there getting ready for WWE.
Terrorizing.
Yes. In fact, they were down there like prepping him to get ready to go to WWE. I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy, you know? And then Glenn Gilberti was down there. Paige was always around. So there was some guys that were down there that they were going to go wrestle in Memphis. It was Max Muscle, the Gambler, a bunch of those guys. And then they all left, and then they started bringing in guys that had to do the tryouts once a month. And then they did the tryouts, and then they joined the power plant and ran through that way.
Now, a lot of people talk about the power plant, right?
Yes.
And they talk about how hard it was and who went through the power plant. And then they talk about the legends of the power plant.
Right.
Give me your top
Tony
5
Cars.
Guys. Yeah, give me your top 5. Top 5.
Tony Cars number 1.
Number 1, Tony Cars.
Hardbody Harrison's got to be number 2.
Hardbody Harrison. How about Hard Work Bobby Walker?
Hard Work Bobby Walker. It was great.
Man, listen, let me ask you something about Hard Work Bobby Walker. He should have made it. I thought he was going to go a little further than what he did. What do you think held him back? He had a great body, good gimmick. What do you think held him back?
I just think that it wasn't in that time. They were not really looking for new talent, and I don't think that he was in the clique with the other guys that were getting the push. I think that if you were, one of those guys from Florida that knew the guys down there, it was much easier to get a push than work your way through the power plant.
Wow. Now, who treated you good in the power plant?
I'm going to tell you, no one really treated me bad. Brenda Smith up front treated me great. Yeah. Jody Hamilton was a great to me. God rest his soul. Mike Winter, Sarge, Pez Watley, God rest his soul. I mean, I would go do the power plant during the week, and then I would go do indies with Pez Watley on the weekends, and it was a lot of fun. He introduced me to a lot of characters. I got to meet Ron Simmons, Peak, all those guys, so it was great,
What was it like traveling around with Pistol Pez Watley?
I like to tell the story that Pez and I would go into these little towns, and people like come up like, what are you guys doing? Who are you guys? And Pez would be like, oh man, we're elephant breeders. The big guy holds him and I breed him. And everyone would be like, oh, okay. And then walk away and didn't get the joke, so.
Oh my goodness.
You hold him and he breeds them.
Yeah.
Oh,
he was always entertaining, to say the least.
I mean, Pez Watley, man. I mean, did you watch some of his matches? Have you watched some of his matches?
Seen him, yes.
I mean, he was a pretty good wrestler.
He was. I mean, he made a career of it for 30, 35, 40 years.
And they had him just working in a power plant. They didn't use him much either.
No, no.
Every
Well,
now
he
and then
had-
you'll see him in the ring.
He had plateaued by then, Cat. He had already wrestled 20 some years when the power
Shaska
plant started.
Watley.
That's
Yes.
that's your opinion, Big Ray. We worked with him. Pez
I
was
understand that. But I was
Pez was a-
also 9 years old when he beat up Jimmy Boogie Woogie Man Valiant too.
Oh
So
man,
you know,
bro.
you know.
how
Hey,
could he
bro.
do that? I mean,
Bro,
Pez,
hey,
how could you
hey.
beat the Boogie Woogie Man?
Hey, listen here, Ray. Pez was in great shape.
Oh, he was badass.
I
There's
mean,
no
he
doubt.
was in great shape when he
Right.
was training us at the power
He
plant.
can work, man. He's a worker, dude. He's a great. Hey, I got a quick question, Ron. Did you work with the with Paul White when he came in? Did they put
I
you
did,
guys
yeah.
together and you try to get him going?
So he was already at the power plant when I came in, and he gave me the infamous name of T-Rex because I had a big head, short arms, and a big butt. And I still think there's some people in Atlanta that you say, "Hey, I know Ron Reis." They'll tell you, "I have no idea who that guy is." But if you go, "Hey, I know T-Rex," they'll be like, "Oh man, that guy was in my wedding. He's one of my best friends." That's
He was
how
in my
it is.
wedding. He's one of
Yeah.
my best friends. But
Yeah.
they don't know your real name.
They don't
That's
know my
great.
real name. They're like, Ron Reis, who is that? T-Rex. Oh man, I love that guy. He's a brother, you know.
And you wrestled under what name? What name did you wrestle under?
Well, let's see. I started out. I was the Yeti. Then I was Big Reese or Big Ron Studd.
Hold
for
up,
a
wait a
while.
minute, Big Ron. Who came up with the Yeti? I've never understood that. How did you come up with that? And who put that
Well,
together for you?
look, Ernest, I can't
Dusty
take credit for
Rhodes.
coming up for it. With it, that's beyond me to come up with.
It was Dusty Rhodes
Yeah,
that come up with him. You the
who put
Yeti.
it? I mean,
I
who
think
put
it was more
together?
Kevin Sullivan because it was in the
Yeah.
Dungeon of Doom.
Yeah, the Yeti.
Yeah, Sullivan, my son, and the
So how was it working with Kevin Sullivan? Did you
You know,
enjoy?
Ernest, I can tell you something. I've been to the Dungeon of Doom, and you have not. So,
Yes, he
Yeah.
has been. He was
I've
the
been-
Yeti.
so
I
now let me
been
ask
in
you a
the-
question. When Kevin Sullivan died, did they hold his services at like a funeral home, or did they have him at the Dungeon of Doom?
Hey, big Ron Reis, we not gonna go down this show.
We
ain't
are.
gonna
We
talk
wanna know.
about a dead man, Big Ron.
No. I just want to know. I mean, the Dungeon of Doom. I mean, he has that property down in Florida where the
Oh.
lava comes in and all that stuff, and the smoke comes out. And I mean,
I don't know where he went. I know he's not here anymore.
yeah. You know,
So-
actually, as not odd, but just sort of strange as he was when he was with WCW, at least to me, like, you know, I would say hi to him. He's like, sort of gruff. He was the nicest guy when I would see him at wrestling conventions later.
Let me tell you this, man. I met him the very first night. Him and Chris Benoit
Yeah.
was doing that little angle he had over woman.
Where they beat the
And-
shit out of each other.
Oh man, listen, they showed that in the locker room, and we were
Yeah.
just part of the scene.
Yeah.
And they showed him and Kevin and Benoit were fighting like cats and dogs in there. I said, wait a minute, this looked real.
Yeah.
What do you think about that gimmick?
You know, look, I don't want to fight anybody over my wife. I love her too much to lose her. So, but it was weird, right? It just
Man, it was
it was
real.
odd. But
It
yeah,
was- I
you know,
mean, it
he was
was
always
real.
really nice to me afterwards. I would see him at the wrestling cons, and he was a great guy. But back then, it was just a little weird how it was going.
But I wonder how that happened though. You know, you got woman, who was married to Kevin
Yeah.
Sullivan, right?
Yeah.
And then Nathan, you know, she's with Chris Benoit.
What
Yeah.
happens when you become a four horseman, buddy? Everybody wants to be with a horseman.
But great, this ain't no time to play because the way
It's
it
the
turned
truth.
out.
She was with the horseman. She was with the horseman at the time, and they started traveling, and that's kind of how it started. I mean, you
Yeah.
want to know? I'm trying to tell you.
And now you can't tell me because you wasn't there. You just
But
giving
I've
me your
read
opinion.
how it developed.
Oh, you read. Let me talk to Big Ron. Ron was there.
Well, I'm not a reader, so I
Yeah,
mean,
Ron. But you know, I mean, do you think it just? Did you think it just something occurred during the time they was together?
you know,
on the
Benoit
road?
was married too when all that.
Yeah,
was
that's
going
what I
on.
was
Yeah.
saying.
I mean, I don't know. I knew him and hung out with him, but I sort of stayed away from his personal life because I knew that it was a little weird.
Who is he? Kevin
Benoit.
Benoit, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, he was another one of those guys. He was like the nicest guy. I was in Japan with him, came back. He asked me for who my tax guy was. I gave him my tax guy. He used the tax guy until his death.
Man, listen, Chris Benoit was a hell of a guy. I really enjoyed being around him. He was very helpful. He always was there to loan you a hand if you needed any information about a match.
You know, Ray, it's funny. You would see Benoit before the match, and he would literally drink a pot of coffee.
A pot of coffee.
I mean, you know, this guy was wound way tight.
He too tight.
No doubt.
Yeah.
And he worked, and let me tell you, his work in the ring was like beautiful.
Yeah.
But it was like you could tell he wasn't stiff. I worked him about once or twice, and he wasn't stiff at all, but he looked like he was.
Those chops were pretty
stiff.
good, though. You would go home and you're like, man, I got his fingerprints if they ever need anything for a crime scene.
Oh, he
They're
did,
tattooed
man.
on my chest for life.
He one of the best guys, man. But I enjoyed working with Chris.
No, he was really good.
I had a good time and really nice. He wasn't mean. He didn't.
No.
He wasn't like loud. Sometimes you wouldn't even know he was in a room. He was just quiet.
I was really glad to see that he went to WWE and got his shine up there.
He damn sure did.
Now, where was he before he started in WCW?
He was
the Pegasus Kid in Japan. And then he started doing ECW, brought in the cruiserweights, which was Malenko,
Jericho.
Yeah. Malenko, and then WCW brought the cruiserweights in as like, I always thought it was like the pregame because they always had the first two matches for the cruiserweights, and it was like, we'll go to the real matches, you know.
I thought he started out in Canada first with
Stu Hart.
With Stu Hart, because didn't he train in the dungeon?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought he was with that Calgary group under Stu Hart for a while, and then branched off and went to Japan, and then from Japan to ECW, ECW to WCW, WCW to WWE.
Yeah.
But he's a damn bona fide stud for sure. He was
where you going, Ron? You leaving?
I'm right back.
You know, Big Ron. See, that's why I said Big Ron he's a easygoing guy. He was just he'll just get up and go and do other things.
No.
Nice guy.
Luther Biggs wants to make sure that I pump this up for you.
Well, put it up. We can't see it.
Hold on.
Luther Biggs. The Replaceables. Ron Reis, Big Phil.
He wants to make sure that I talk about our movie, Ernest.
Okay, well, he could have called me and we were going to get that anyway, but
no, I want to drop in little Easter eggs of the movie coming out. So
now tell us about the movie. What's the movie about?
No, we'll talk about the movie later. Let's talk about the wrestling stuff. Listen, Big Ron. Yeah, Ron, come on, let's continue to build your career. So what was your first match?
My first match was with Chris Benoit. I had just come back from touring Japan, and I had the match the Monday night after Sturgis.
1998?
Maybe 96 or 7, yeah.
Okay.
And they came up to me and they go, hey, man, have you ever taken a suplex off the top rope? And I was like, no. Oh, can you do it? I was like, sure, yeah, I can totally do it, you know? And Sarge had just happened to be there, who was the power plant trainer. And I ran and got him like, hey, man, how am I going to take a suplex off the top? And he was like, just climb to the top, close your eyes, and wait for the mat to break your fall. And I was like, wow, thanks for the encouragement, you know, like Jesus.
Did you do a lot of bumping around the ring at the power plant?
Oh, yeah. I mean, every day, you know, you hear those stories, they're not made up. I don't want to tell you that every day was a buster at the power plant, but we would start out by doing some squats and get in there, and you had to run the ropes, take a front bump, go to the next ring. I mean, we got after it pretty good conditioning-wise, and then you had to go through your chain stuff, and then, you know, we break for lunch and then fart around in the afternoon having matches and stuff. But It was pretty good. I mean, you learned a lot there, but it was a lot of trading and a lot of conditioning.
What did you learn being on the road wrestling?
Learn on the road wrestling. The one thing that
Yeah.
I tell you when I really learned is to give a little and take a lot. Back in the day, everyone wanted to slam me, and I was like, yeah, you can slam me if I can do this or do that. You know, it was never always try and get something out of giving something. So that's the one thing I would say I really learned from wrestling that I've taken into my career, my second career as a wine salesman is, you know, give a little and take a lot. So
Now, if you can go back and do it all over again,
right.
what would you change?
You know, I might have gone and tried to do more like the Chris Jerichos and those guys where they went and did independence and did smaller stuff and really came up with a character and a whole deal and then transitioned to WCW.
So did they put you on the contract as soon as you came in?
So I came down and they were like, Big John Studd, we were supposed to be tag team partners. And then he got cancer. And I want to say about 8 months later, he passed away. So they were like, you know, hey, we're still interested in you because of your size. We're going to bring you into the power plant. We'll give you $500 a week to train, which, I mean, doesn't sound like a lot, but it wasn't that expensive to live in Atlanta in 1995. So it was good. I came out here. I had nothing else going on in my life at all. So it was good. And just started at the power plant. And I want to say like 2 months later, I got a raise to like $800 a week, which was unbelievable. And then, you know, just kept working up from there.
That's awesome. That's an awesome story. And then how long was your career?
I finished up with WCW January of 2000.
Okay.
And then I worked with Dusty Rhodes for, I want to say about a year.
And Turnbuckle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, who was your favorite match against?
You know, I always liked wrestling Goldberg. It was good. Anything with Goldberg, you know, you're sort of in the main event. So that was,
and it was going to be quick. You weren't going to be working all night.
Yeah. And I mean, he was rough, but I knew he was going to be rough, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in coming from the power plant, everybody was rough.
Well,
so tell me something. Tell me something good. Tell me something about Big Ron Reis that people don't know. I mean, what do you like doing?
So you know what? I live like a very simple life. My wife and I have a house up in Forsyth County in Cumming, Georgia. I like to go work out in the morning. I go to work. I come home. I do some crossword puzzles. Walk the dog. I mean, I'm just a normal guy.
How about when you wrestled? How about when you wrestled then?
You know, it was a little different just because back in the day we were so grandiose with, you know, the hair and the muscles, and everyone was wearing the Zuba pants and
I was going to say Zumbas and fanny packs.
And what was like the dress shirts with the sleeves cut off, you know, the flannels. I mean, we thought we were the coolest kids in town. But besides that, yeah, I mean, it was pretty normal.
Now, this is what I want to ask you. How in the heck did you get with Raven? How did you get in the flock?
You know, I just think that, I don't know. It was one of Paige's, hey, take this guy in the flock. And so Paige put me in. I wasn't in the flock originally. I came in later. And I was one of the first ones to leave. Terry Taylor came and said, hey, we're going to repackage you. You're going to be the valet for what was the guy's name that did the piano guy, Gorgeous George III?
Oh, yeah. What's his name? The one that did the James Brown gimmick with.
Yes.
Now I can't think of him. I can't think of his name.
It was like Mozart or something weird like that.
Yeah.
I went to TV. I had a tuxedo with the sleeves cut off. I was going to be the whole guy, and I don't think he liked it. I think he thought I outshined him.
Maestro.
Yeah, the Maestro, yes.
Don't mess with the Stro, I think it was, or something like that.
Yeah, don't mess with the Stro.
So did you work something with him?
I just went to TV, and then we flew out there, and, you know, he was not happy that I was his guy.
Oh, who, Maestro?
The Stro, yeah.
Yeah, because you were so much bigger than he was.
Yeah.
It was taking the shine off of him.
So, and I was just, hey, what do I know, right? So then I went back and they were going to give me a T-Rex character, and I got with Andre, who was the creative design guy, came up with a whole thing that was sort of a T-Rex slash Jurassic Park sort of theme. And right as we were going into that, that's when they started like cutting guys on TV that they weren't going to bring anybody new. So I knew my time was short. And then I got, they did not renew my contract in January of 2000. The WWE at the beginning was very hot with me. They wanted me to come in and be the bodyguard slash valet for Christian and Edge. And they were, hey, we're, come on up. We got you going. We got some ideas for you. Believe it or not, I was like, stunned, like, holy shit, that's the best news I've had in a long time. And then I guess they went with one of their guys from Canada instead of me. And then it was like, hey, we'll send you up to Memphis for $500 a week. And at that point, I was like, look, man, I'm 31 years old. My wife is about to have a baby. It's about time I get a job.
Well, that's
become a corporate nerd.
And so you sell wine and
sell wine, yeah.
Yeah.
For Empire Distributors, the number one distributor in the Southeast. We're in the great state of North Carolina, Tennessee, and Colorado. And make sure that you're out drinking our wines.
So are you the tallest one in the office?
I am the tallest one in the office, yes.
Probably the tallest one in the whole corporation, I'd imagine.
I think so, yeah.
Did you ever work with the cat?
Ernest the Cat Miller?
Yeah.
He was scared of me. He didn't want to
he's a hack. He's a hack.
Listen, bro, you were too big.
He knows I have the dance moves.
Oh, he tried to dance.
Shred him. I mean, I got the sprinkler. I got
pizza.
The running man, all that stuff. I mean, Ernest wanted none of that. He would have to call his mama and his grandmama.
Could you kick him in the head, Ernest? Yes or no?
I mean, if the money was right, I could.
Could you get up that high? Could you get up that high?
No.
You'd have to stretch out a little
bit. This guy was one of the largest guys in the damn business.
Absolutely.
And who's the tallest? You are Paul White.
I want to settle this because everyone asks me this. I am taller than Paul White, but in my opinion, when you talk about a giant, the height has very little to do with it. Paul White is 5 times bigger than I am. His back is like the size of a piano. He's got those big sausage fingers. I mean, that guy is a true giant at 6'11". I mean, he is up there.
But if
you're going to give a guy a giant title, it definitely has to be him.
You were the giant for the kids. I think kids used to love you.
I like to think I'm a kid at heart. So,
yeah.
We had fun back in the day, didn't we, Ernest?
Man, we had a great time, man. A really good time back in the day.
I remember you coming into the power plant around 11:30, do a couple squats, have a little lunch, go to the tanning bed, and then leave. I mean, that was pretty good for you.
I mean, listen, I was already on the big contract, so I didn't really have to be there at all.
Yeah. Look,
I just came in to make it look good.
Check put your time clock in and time clock out.
So tell me some other stuff about your time at WCW. Who do you think killed WCW?
I just think it was
other than my matches.
Well, you know what I really think it was? I think it was that there was so much television when they went to the 3 hours. 3 hours of Nitro on Monday night is hard to watch. 3 hours of WCW on Monday night was hard to watch, and then 3 more hours on Thursday was hard to watch. That's 6 hours of just WCW that you're watching. I mean, I just think you're oversaturating the market with too much wrestling.
Wow.
I would have to agree.
Now, Ron, did you?
And then you're expecting these guys to go to like the house shows on the weekends, the fans, after watching 6 hours at home. I mean, that's a lot. That's an investment.
I mean,
Well,
there's nothing for the fan at the live show because at the house shows because they're not being taped. So you're not dropping titles there. You're not really furthering the storylines. There's really no reason for the fan to go. So that's like you're saying, if they would tease it and say, "Hey, we're going to be in Greensboro, you need to come out and watch Ron Reis battle the cat for, who's the best dancer in WCW," then that would put some butts in the seats.
Hey, let me tell you something, Big Ray. We had no problem putting butts in the seats. I'm telling you.
End.
No, we didn't. We never did have any problem. You can say what you want to say. Big Ron, let me tell him about these house shows.
Well, Big Ray, I have to agree with you because when I started with WCW, the house shows were horrible in attendance. Once the NWO got hot,
that's what I'm talking about.
It went to the top, baby. It went to the top.
I mean, it was a time where if you wanted tickets, it was like, hey, here, take a whole section of tickets. Then when the NWO hit, it was like, hey, man, I got nosebleeds. And you're going to have to standing room only tickets.
And see, that's when I came in. I came in like 97, right as NWO started to hit. So every house show, man, was sold out. Yeah. All the big stars was on the house shows.
But then towards the end, right before WWE bought them, it started tailing off again really badly.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't remember those times then.
It was tough.
I just remember Mick Foley telling the Rascals or the Radicals is what they called them. That was Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, and Perry Saturn, yeah. Hey, isn't it nice? Did there be people in the arena tonight? That was what Mick Foley was telling them backstage, and it was hilarious when they were cutting them little promos. And hey, listen, when you're out there wrestling tonight, there'll actually be people in the building. I was like, God, they're piling on WCW so bad. God, it was awful.
That's what they were doing back then. That was part of it. But WCW was still doing some pretty decent numbers back then.
They would always get the crowd onto the hard camera side. So
the hard camera side, yes. And a lot of the buildings that they moved to was large. They were for large crowd. They were for 5,000 to 10,000 people.
Yeah.
If WCW had just kind of moved to the smaller venue where they could use a small crowd, I think it still would have been great.
It was good.
You what,
keeping you up, Ray? All that walking?
6 miles, buddy. About to wear me out, buddy. I'm wore out.
Hey, don't worry, Big Ron. Don't look at him. Let him yawn.
Ernest, let's go. You want me to be some controversial stuff? I know you're.
No. Listen. You're on here to speak and to talk about.
I know it's no longer Black History Month, but I do believe that that the black wrestlers in WCW did get the short end of the stick. And
now why would you say
it was so much racial as if you weren't in the clique, you were sort of just shitted out, Like there was the A team that was the clique, and then there was the rest of everybody else.
I think the A team was like the millionaires. They used to call them the millionaire. It was the Hogan, the NWOs, and those guys, and those guys really did what they wanted to do in the business.
Yes. I mean, that's sort of where, remember, like Scott, they would all come in and they would never wrestle. They never brought their wrestling gear because it was like, well, we're not going to wrestle. So it was like, okay.
And then do you remember, even if Johnny Ace, I think Johnny Ace was the one of the bookers.
Right.
If Johnny Ace would have asked them to do anything they didn't want to do, they would have said no. And they wouldn't have that match that night. Yeah. Even if they told, I think they told Lex Luger, hey, we want you to work the cat. And Lex Luger said, I'm not working tonight. So they had to scrap the match.
Could they have
the board up and they would put the board in the matches and they changed 15 times because guys like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, and they were making millions of dollars.
You think they could have told Vince that? I'm not wrestling tonight.
I actually had some good matches with Lex Luger. I went up in his torture rack real easy, and he loved it.
Oh, yeah, because you made him look good.
I was happy to go in the torture rack.
So did anybody injured you, or did you ever get?
No, I got through pretty good. I'm sure I had some back issues, but that was just overall back issues from.
Hey, when you sit back, it looked like somebody's thumb was just in the
Oh, I'm sorry.
picture.
How's that
Yeah.
better?
Yeah,
It looked like somebody. Look at me.
we
Okay.
like to see your neck.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got through pretty good. No real injuries.
No knee
So,
problems.
hey,
No
Ernest,
nothing.
I want to ask you, what was it like working with the Godfather's soul, James Brown, that whole night? Was that crazy or?
Bro, it was crazy. It was fun. I mean, I was just blown away with the locker room. The first person said something about James Brown being there, and the way we were working in the ring together was Sting. Sting said, "Hey man, that is the best part of the show."
Yeah.
So I mean, I enjoyed it because the people, it's always good when the locker room like your stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
Was
people
there
think
like were they sure that he was going to show up or did he show
yeah,
up?
yeah. They knew a couple of weeks beforehand that he was gonna come. They paid him good. They paid him good money to come.
Cash money too, baby. Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah. He wasn't cheap. Did he have a
No,
whole
I'm
entourage
sure.
with him or?
He had the whole band with them, about 24 people.
Jesus.
He had 24 people with him. So Big
He's not
Ron,
that big, is he?
no, he was kind of 5'6", 5'7", 5'6" or 5'7". Yes.
All right.
Now,
He's a
Big Ron,
tech machine.
listen. I want to ask you a couple of more questions.
I'm here for you.
I just like to get to the bottom of this right here.
Look, I'm here
So-
for you, Ernest.
So, did you travel with Raven ever, a parasitter?
Yeah, I did. So we sort of tried to get into that team theme back then, where we had like a minivan and traveled around as the flock. It worked out pretty good, but I mean, to be honest with you, I was only with him for like, I want to say 5 months, so it wasn't really that long of a run.
Well,
But
there
they
was a
were
lot.
together for like a year and a half. The weird thing with the flock though is had to go to every show, like every TV.
Yeah, just sit out there.
Just sit out there like, ugh, okay.
And people think that's fun, to sit out there for hours and just
Boring.
sit there. Just sit there. Watch the matches.
Did the crowd screw with you at all while you were out there? Like, hey man, why ain't you wrestling?
But we never really paid us. I never really paid any attention because it's just so like, you're just, why am I here for the 37th time, And I gotta, when is the TV break going? Because I gotta go back and pee and come back out. And, it's just.
Did you even get popcorn or anything while you were there?
No. Couldn't drink beers, couldn't drink anything out there. So.
No, y'all would drink beers. I remember them bringing beers to you guys out there. Well, Raven, they would bring beers to him. And listen, let me ask you something. How much drugs did you guys do?
So I'm gonna say I was not a drug guy.
Okay,
I was an
all
alcohol guy, but there was a lot of drugs going around. Yes,
and the reason I said that right there, everybody knew Raven was on everything.
Ernest,
so I think when he got to WCW, when he was doing the flock, he was sort of paying the price for the stuff that he had done earlier. He was seeing the doctor a lot and had a lot of
issues
things going on physically. So, I think that we were more like at the 3/4 of his run where he was sort of trying to take a break and figure out what was going on.
I'm going to tell you a story. And you know me, I'm going to be honest. I never drink. I didn't do drugs.
Right.
Didn't do none of that stuff. So one day, Raven asked me, he said, "Hey, Cat, can you pee for me?" So you know what that is. The people in the back or the people in the office that ask him to piss in a cup so they can test him for drugs. So I was like, man, I wanted to be good to the guy. So I said, yes. I peed in a cup for him. He said, thank you. He walked away. And 2 weeks later, he came back and said, "Hey, Cat, I failed the drug test." And I was like, what? He said, "I failed the drug test." I said, listen, there's no way you failed a drug test because I don't take anything. He said, I think they knew I had pulled something over on them and they still failed me.
It might have been him just touching the glass. Maybe.
I don't know, but listen, I could swear I never took anything, but he said he failed the drug test. Then he said, well, don't worry about it. It's probably something like, what did he say? I forgot what he said, but he called it something. He said probably something in there, something you drink. Did you do protein shakes? I said, yeah, but I said, they ain't testing you for protein or steroids. They testing you for something else. And it's something I told him, I've never tried drugs in my life.
Well, you know what the funny thing is everyone talks about the drug test, but my question is, who sees the results to the drug test?
That's what I'm saying. That's what they probably knew he had like one more strike to go before they put him on probation.
Yeah, because I remember Kanyon failed the drug test, and they didn't tell him for like 6 months until after he was getting his contract. I'm like, well, you failed the drug test. Like,
oh, for real?
He's like, wait a second, you never told me that when I failed it.
I never failed a drug test. Never. I never failed a drug test. I probably took it one time.
Well, so they knew that I was as far as drugs was a straight arrow. I like to drink, so I was always taking drug tests.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I think after you pass like 2 or 3, they're like, "Hey, this is our guy. Let's."
Bro, those guys was on everything.
Yes.
I've seen guys take pills, cocaine. They took everything. It was a every night party.
Well, yeah, but you remember like they would have meetings and they would go like, "Hey, I don't care what you have to do to get up to be in the ring, but you got to be up and ready to go in the ring. Like I know you're traveling a lot, but when you're in that ring, you got to be go time, whatever it takes." And it was like, wow, am I catching the references here or what's going on?
Listen, I told this story about this, maybe not to you guys, but when I tore my ACL, I went in and had surgery. After I had surgery, they gave me some kind of pain pills to take.
They gave you oxycodone.
Yeah, to take. And I'm going to tell you,
or hydrocodone.
They said, take it at night. And I said, why? I said, before you go to sleep, take it at night, then take one during the day. So he gave me like 30 pills. I took one of those pills, man, and it made me so sick.
Really?
And my stomach, sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
It was really bad. It was a bad feeling to why I said, you know what? I know I'm getting better, so I'm not taking any more of these pills. So time went on, my knee healed, and I was in the locker room one time, and I was talking to a big boss man. And big boss man was asking me how my knee was coming along. I said, it's a little sore every now and then. He just said, well, you should maybe take something. That's the doctor for something. I said, well, he gave me these pills. He said, what are they? I said, I don't know. They pain pills. And I was like, he said, what? He said, are you taking it? I said, no, I don't take it. I just got them at home. He said, can you bring them to me the next time? Then I said, yeah. And I said, but why? He said, it take me 10 of those pills just to get to the ring to wrestle.
Yeah.
Wow. That's sad.
That was the thing is when you're talking about they were having drug problems, it wasn't like, I take 3 pills. It was like 40 to 50 pills a day.
Yes, man. No, and I did not know how the doctor would just give those things away to him like candy. I mean, did the doctors work for WCW?
Well, I mean, they always had those script doctors. Benoit had that guy down in Fayetteville County that literally was just writing pills for everybody.
So I went to that guy too. I hurt my hip and my lower back, my sciatic nerve was pinched. So I went to him, and when he first looked at me, he said, let's see if it's going to get better. If it's not going to get better, he did an x-ray, he filled around, and he just said, let's give it a while. Let's give it 2 weeks and see if it's going to get better. He said, here's go some Somers, 30 pills. So he gave me 30 pills. So he said, okay, I'll see you back here in 2 weeks, 14 days. So I left. 14 days I came back. I didn't take any of the pills, because I wanted to see if my back was gonna get better.
Yeah.
And soon we came in. He said, "How you feel?" I said, "Feel a little better, doc." He said, "Oh, you sure?" I said, "Yes, I feel a little better." He said, "Here." I said, "What's this?" He said, "Get you 30 more pills." I was like, "Doc, what the hell are you doing?"
Yeah.
I still got the last 30 pills. It's only been 14 days. Why should I just have this script to go and get 30 more pills? But that's how easy they were giving it to these guys, because they gave it to me. And these guys were, well, a lot of them
you weren't even asking for it. These other guys were asking for it. Like,
they were drug addicts, man. I mean, they were really heavy on drugs, man. I've seen guys pass out. I was on a flight we was on a flight somewhere, and one guy behind me, I forgot his name, Texas Cowboy. He was on the Cowboy team when crap is something, rap is crap. And he was one of the Cowboys.
The West Texas boys.
And now who was on that team? Great.
I think it was Bobby Duncan Jr.
Bobby Duncan was on there. It's not him.
And was it Mr. Perfect?
Yeah.
Kurt Hennig?
Kurt Hennig was on there, but it was not him.
There was three of them. It was Kurt Hennig, Bobby Duncan, and I can't remember the third guy.
It was a younger guy. He wrestled in WCW for a long time. Big old thick guy. But anyway, this guy was talking to me. He was sitting behind me, and we was on our way to Australia. He was sitting behind me, and we were just having a great conversation. Great conversation. I turned around and said, "Okay, we taking off." So about 30 minutes later, I turned around and looked at him, and man, it looked like his face was about to just fall off. I mean, it was scary. You know, it's like, is this guy having a breakdown? If he having a heart attack? If he having, because his face was like it was about to fall off, and he was like just not even saying anything. Just you just heard this sound that sound like somebody couldn't really breathe.
It's called that death curdle.
Yes. Like, and he was just sitting there, and I turned back around, and I was like, man, I hope he's okay. And then about an hour or two into the flight, he was like nothing ever happened.
There was a lot of pills going around. I mean, it was a crazy time. Remember, all those guys would get that Renutriment, the GSB or whatever, GHB. And that was crazy because everyone would spike your drink, and next thing you know, you're like out cold. And there's just
wait a minute. Did someone spike your drink?
But remember that was that GHB that looked like water, right?
Just liquid,
they would spike people's drinks at the nightclub, and people would pass out.
At the nightclub
and I'm not gonna lie to you, I tried it one time and I felt great, and then like 2 hours later, I took a nap that might have been the greatest nap of my life.
You, Chris Kanyon, and Luther Big, y'all all used to be together. Y'all party together. Y'all lived together. You mean to tell me y'all wasn't doing no drugs?
Alcohol, I was drinking every bit of alcohol I possibly could find.
If you were drinking alcohol, you were probably taking pills.
I was not really, I was scared to death of them because I saw all those guys that were having issues with it.
Well, you was the only one not taking pills. You know who surprised me with Chris Kanyon.
Chris Kanyon, when I was hanging out with him, and Chris Kanyon at the end were two completely different people. When I was hanging out with him, he was a pretty clean guy. He was, just a lot of fun to hang out with. Great. He had his demons, but he kept them undercover pretty good. I mean, he was the only guy that had this huge gym bag, and he had every Wrestling Observer magazine newspaper in there, and he would bring them out, and then he collected the tops of his Mountain Dew cans or lids from his little 20 ounces that he would have.
Now let me ask you something about Chris Kanyon.
Yes.
Do you think Chris Kanyon had in the end, we could say so, he committed suicide, right? He's offed himself.
Yes.
But do you think he had doing the wrestling? Do you think he had a psychological problem, a situation? Mental?
I don't think when he was earlier he didn't, but I think towards the end when he got into drugs and all that stuff, I think he sort of was losing his touch on.
But I really think the wrestling world drove him to that point.
Yeah,
because he loved he gave it everything.
Loved wrestling.
He gave wrestling everything. He got in the ring. He gave it his all. Now I'm gonna tell you this story. When we were doing the Glacier thing, these guys, him and Brian, and they were making us look good. They worked hard in the gym.
Yeah.
They worked hard down at the power plant. I would go down there. We worked over every match.
Yes.
Then when we got in the ring one time, and Chris had to put me over, bang, we went 1, 2, 3, boom. I got up and I stood up my hand and I stood over him after I got 1, 2, 3, and I stood over him. He spit at me.
Really?
Like he was angry. He had to put me over.
Oh.
I was like, now where did this come from? And for that split second, I thought about it.
You motherfucker, you don't love the business.
Yeah, listen. When he did that, I mean, he was angry, like he had to put me over.
That had to really be an awakening for you of like, wow, this is how it is, you know, like.
Yeah, no, that's what I got out of it, because I was like, lose or win or lose, I still get paid the same.
You know, and it's not a contest of who's better. It's who decided, you know, someone above decided who's going to win.
Man, this guy was angry.
Who better than Kanyon?
Yeah. This guy was angry though. He spit at me, and when he spit at me, I almost lost it. I started to stomp him in his face while he was laying on the floor. But then I thought about it.
He was that gimmick was supposed to be the greatest thing ever, and it just never took off.
And he probably would, he probably recognized that, because they were kind of breaking me and Glacier up.
Yes.
They were sending me
that thing was
by
supposed
myself.
to be I mean, a lot of people don't know that thing was like 6 months in developing behind the scenes to come in there, and it was going to be the hottest thing. And then Glacier started, and right as Glacier started, like the NWO came in, and it was like, okay.
And see that's what I think happened. I think what happened is they started something bigger. They had Glacier running, they had Goldberg running, and then they had NWO. And at that time, Glacier was huge. He probably got the biggest pop when he came out than anything. When the snow started to fall, and it was pretty good, man. But like I said, something didn't get it over.
Well, I think one of the things too is, I mean, he was a video game character, and no human's going to be able to do the shit they do on video games. So, you know, as a fan, you're sort of let down from the jump that this guy's not going to be able to, you know, morph into other stuff and do the karate kicks and the flips and shit that they do on the video games.
I can tell you from a fan's perspective, listening to 6 months of the blood runs cold, winter's coming, all that stuff, and you're like, what the hell is it? Because they did such a great job of not revealing what the character was. And then when he comes out and he had the one blue eye, and you're like, what? This is what we waited 6 months on? A white dude with a flat top and a blue eye? And Mortal Kombat? It was Mortal Kombat. That's what it was basically Mortal Kombat comes to life. And I was like, dude, I thought it was they were taking some dude from WWE and was repackaging him. And I was like really excited. And I was like,
but you know, Ray, I was not supposed to be in that. That was supposed to be Glacier and those guys.
Right.
But what happened, they needed some martial arts, some real karate. So they said, Cat, we need some karate. Can you join Glacier?
Oh, I heard they asked you, do you know anybody that could do the karate?
You know anybody that can do karate?
Yeah, me.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought that you were like, no, my uncle, but he's out of town.
Well,
you know, maybe I can fill in.
Well, they asked me, said, we need some karate in here, and can you fill in and come help us? So shit, I was getting paid. I went right to the pay-per-view and made it big. So I was like, yeah, let's have fun. But then I saw how they started kind of booking the matches with those guys. You know, Kanyon and Brian did pretty good. I like those guys together. They can fly. They can fly all over the ring.
Yeah.
Two of the great
Vandenberg
bumpers.
is the manager.
Oh, Vandenberg, I like them. Tell me some Vandenberg stories.
Vandenberg's just a trippy guy, right? He just I never hung out with him that much, but when I did, it was always interesting.
Somebody asked me, him and Chris Kanyon had this kind of strange relationship.
Yes.
To where they was almost like husband and wife.
In an odd way, yeah.
You know these guys. Were those two guys ever a thing?
I don't think so, because Vandy, Kanyon was so in the closet at the time. Like, he just, and it was weird because like we would all go out, Glacier, Luther, myself, and Kanyon, and we would go out to the bars when I was single, and we'd all sort of like, peel off, and then, Kanyon would just would go home alone.
But I wonder why Kanyon held it in like that, because nobody knew. I did not know at all that it wouldn't have made a difference.
No.
But I did not know he was gay until one day you guys went out on the weekend and you guys used to go out and do all this. Y'all used to go to this nightclub, was like a Cowboys.
Yes.
Yes, Cowboys.
Ladies' night, Wednesday night.
Yes, you have this big old country cowboy kind of nightclub. You guys will go there. Then you guys will come in talking about the women you met, the girls you got with, and everything. And then one time, Brian was talking, say him, Chris Kanyon, and everybody went out. Everybody picked up a girl. I said, did Chris get him a girl? Did he pick up any girl? And Brian looked at me and said, what? You don't know that Chris Kanyon is a female? I said, female? What is a female? You know how he used to always speak in that little, what do you call that language?
Carney.
Yeah. You didn't know Chris Kanyon is a female? I said, first of all, what is a female? He said, it's gay. Then I said, quit lying. He said, have you ever seen him with a girl? I said, no, but I don't go out with you guys. He said, yeah, Chris Kanyon is gay.
Wow.
And then he went to WWE and he played a gay guy.
Yeah.
A gay guy.
By that time, being gay wasn't that big of a deal. Like everyone was gay,
I mean, not everyone was gay.
Ellen had already come out as gay on TV, so it wasn't like that big of a deal when Kanyon came out as gay, because it was like.
But he was trying to play a gay character on TV, and they had a bunch of those guys in WWE.
Lodi and Lenny did all that shit, right? And Chuck Colombo and all those guys did that shit.
Chuck, was he gay?
No, he was married and had a kid.
Yeah, he played a gay character with Jindrak or whoever.
That don't mean anything.
I mean, maybe in college he tried it, and for a weekend or.
Hey, Chris Kanyon tried it. He tried it. He was playing a gay guy, but he was gay for real. If you have met Chris Kanyon, there's nothing about him that would kind of set off my gaydar. Nothing.
The weird thing was over the history of wrestling, though, there's always sort of been a gay character that they've never really said is gay. You think back to the 80s, Adrian Adonis was sort of that gay character.
Damn sure.
There's always been sort of guy that comes out in the pink and stuff like that you question his masculinity. And then, Kanyon tried to come out and it was like,
what? You gay?
They expect that with wrestling, you're really gay then. You live in the gimmick, or?
Hey, let me tell you something. When back in the locker room, a lot of straight guys were doing some gay stuff back there.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. Would you have a problem with being in the locker room if Kanyon was gay?
I was in the locker room with Kanyon. He was gay.
If you knew he was gay, would it have bothered you?
For what? Long as he didn't bring it on me, he could be whoever he wanted to. He was a friend. Until the day he died, Kanyon and I stayed in contact. We would call, check up on each other, and do that kind of stuff. When I went to WWE, he was the first guy to come and reach out to me and welcome me. Him and Stone Cold and who else? And Triple H. They really was the first three guys came and said, "Hey, glad you're here." And Vince McMahon. But he was having it hard up there. And the reason
Ray,
I
did
know,
you just get that from that was his little passive put himself over there from Ernest? Like, well, when I went to the WWE and
Well,
I got the heavyweight
Donald Trump
championship
called me.
belt.
hey, bro,
I mean, they all
listen.
picked me up at the limo and took
They
me down and
did.
said what a great guy I was.
They did. Hey, big Ron. They did all that.
Well, I want to let you know when I was wrestling with Dusty Rhodes in TCW, they had some guy pick me up in a '74 Impala and take me to the Rome Civic Center where there was 37
carbon
people.
monoxide.
It was a great time.
I don't know if you remember this, but Dusty Rhodes, I had booked to come and work with Dusty Rhodes with you guys through Glacier. And they had told me I could go. WCW said, yeah. They were working some match. So Glacier called and said, hey, Dusty wants you to come down and do this match. I said, I'll come down to do it if it's on my off night. But right before I got a call from the office, and the first thing they told me, you can't go. I was like,
You're
why?
too big of a superstar.
But no, I thought they had some heat with Dusty or something.
I have.
You never know with him. He was a great guy, but always something was, going on, some kind of.
What would Dusty like though, man? You listen. That's one thing I hate. I missed. I hate that I didn't really get to connect with Dusty. I talked to him. We talked. It's like he had other people around him, but I really never really got to connect to him. This was one of my favorite wrestlers growing up.
Yeah.
And you thought he was going to be around.
Favorite.
You thought he was going to be around forever. So you
didn't
make small talk with him.
No. He was a really good, when he was with Turnbuckle, he was a really good family guy. He was at home with his daughter and son, spent a lot of time there. I know that he was in between jobs, I guess is the proper term. So he was always out, doing ECW, and anybody that had an independent, he would go do. And, just never could really get the turnbuckle to turn the corner. We were always drawing a house, but not a great house. And then we would come back, and it was a weird time wrestling in the state of Georgia because there were so many wrestling shows going on. Everyone would have a show. It was just, they were shitty shows,
But you see how hard it is for Dusty Rhodes, a named guy. You see how hard it is to run a wrestling show? Sure. When you got some of these young guys who never been in the ring starting these wrestling shows, and then they put them all into one pile. How can you be a newcomer and you doing the same thing that Dusty Rhodes is doing? Well, it's like you take it away.
Are probably doing 100 times more moves than Dusty did. I mean, yeah. I would work with Dusty, and it was just I'd get in there and lock up, and
he never did a lot though.
He'd duck out, and then he'd duck out again and give me the elbow, and I'd take the elbow, and then we'd get into the heat, and 5 minutes later I'd get him in the bear hug, and oh my God, I think he's dead. And
the arm drop, baby. On that third one, he'll go, oh, no.
And I'd always tell the referee, like, don't do the fucking third one. Just do the two.
Yeah, just do the two.
Just do the two.
It's too long.
Do the third one. That's what's fucking me up.
Yeah.
The third one gets halfway down and he comes up with it. Yes. It's like, no.
So now, did you ever work?
I would squeeze him harder because I didn't care. That just fired him up more.
Hey, did you ever work with
my adrenaline to himself and just
Big Ron? Let's stay on this. We ain't playing around. I need to get these answers. Did you ever
work elbow? I'll give it to you.
Did you, man? That little bit of elbow. Get that little elbow out the way, kid. Hey, did you ever work with any other legends? Did you ever work with Thunderbolt?
I never had the chance to work with Thunderbolt. I know he came to a couple shows. I worked with the Armstrong dad.
Oh yeah,
Bullet Bob.
Bullet Bob.
He
gave me a chop that stopped my heart, and then he gave me another chop to start my heart, and that was pretty good. You know who I worked with that was really good, and I never when you're working, you think like you're good, and then you like go and get with these guys. It was Barry Windham, Dustin Rhodes, and Eric Watts. And those guys are all second generation guys. And just seeing them like do arm drags, and it is just the speed that those guys at 6'4", 6'5" are moving was like, holy shit. That's one that sort of dawned on me that I'll never get there.
Well, listen, I think you had a good career, and I think any time in pro wrestling, any time that someone can spend doing something that people dream of doing, they've made it. They've made it. It's just like WCW, WWE, and ECW. Those things were like the NFL. It's like I played minor league, I played college, but I never made it to the big time. You made it to the biggest company at that time in pro wrestling.
Think about it, there's only about 100 of us, right? Much like the Major League Baseball or football, where there's only like, I want to say, legitimately making money as a wrestler. I would consider over six figures like legitimately making money. There's maybe like 100 people.
But do you remember what it was like in the locker room or behind the curtains back in those days? Man, you've seen all kinds of celebrities and people were coming just to see us. Just to see us.
There's some bad dudes. In fact, in the movie that I was in, Ernest, I don't know if you guys know I was in a movie. But my movie is eventually going to come out, Ray. And in my movie,
tell me about the movie. Go ahead.
One of the guys I beat up, and I want it known that I beat him up, is Tonga. I whipped his butt in front of everyone in the movie. And I want it known that the internet is not letting my movie out because I beat him so bad in the movie. That all that stuff where they're talking about how Ray, life, they're afraid to have me out there.
Hey, Big Ron, I know you know this, but I'm going to ask you this. I know the answer, but we're going to answer this. Who are the characters?
Who won in the fight? Me.
Who are the characters in this movie? The replaceable.
So I want to say there's Ray Lloyd, Larry Zbyszko, this guy Ernest Miller. He thinks he's a karate guy, but that's about as good at acting as he gets. As his karate.
He was a cowboy, wasn't he? Wasn't he a cowboy in this movie?
Cowboy, yeah.
I'll be damned.
Named Mac, a black cowboy. Guy. Now go ahead, keep going. He was
a Saturday night cowboy there, Ray.
It was Saturday a few night. More. Go ahead, Big Ron. It was a few more.
So in the part that I was in, Tonga was there when I beat him up in front of everybody to see. And I'm sure that they're going to doctor that up because I whipped his ass so bad. And then who else was in it?
Luther Big. Yeah, Glacier.
I was only Stan Hansen, which was great to meet.
Oh, that was
great stuff about him,
bro. That was such a time to spend with this guy. And some of the story. Did you spend any time with him?
I did, and man, was he just? I mean, you hear these stories, but he's just such a good guy. You're like, wow, okay, this guy's my neighbor, right?
But just think about some of the stories he was telling during this time he was there, and even Larry Zbyszko, man. Some of the stories that these guys were telling was incredible. Yeah. Incredible, man. I could sit and listen to these guys talk the whole time. But the movie is about, what was your part in the movie?
Well, my part in the movie was there was a pizza eating contest where I was in a pizza.
Hey, don't tell the outcome. I just asked what you were doing.
Because I am the world's greatest pizza eater, I won the pizza eating contest, and then Tonga got mad because I beat Luther Biggs in the pizza eating contest and wanted to fight me, and I beat his ass in front of everybody.
No, you did.
That's why they won't let the movie out.
The movie is coming. Hey, the movie is coming out in November the 1st. It's going to be, people going to get to see that you're telling a damn lie.
Tell me where it's going to be dropping on November 1st.
We can't tell you that yet because
it's opening up on a local airline. It's on a JetBlue.
Yeah,
737.
Hey,
903. It's gonna.
Big Run. I'm gonna tell Luther you talking bad about his movie.
I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Wait to see this.
Listen, The movie is coming out. Wherever you go see the movie streaming, you can come. We'll let you know.
Will it be on
November the 1st.
Tubi? Will it be on Tubi? Will it be on
Ray,
Netflix?
we can't say yet. They're
Why
gonna
not?
announce
Hey,
it.
this movie,
They're gonna
because
announce
I
it.
beat Tonga up, and no one
They're
must
gonna-
have known that I'm a tough guy.
Glacier gonna announce it big on November the 1st.
Well,
So
I thought that's the day it's dropping.
yeah, listen, it will. So you can go straight to
It's
it and
so
see it.
big that it has to be all done in one day. It's so top secret.
Okay.
It's going to break
right.
the internet.
That's just
Like
the way
Kim
that listen,
Kardashian's butt.
Yeah.
that's just the way they want to do it.
Okay.
So these guys are my friend. It's a great movie. I mean, this movie is a good movie, and they're working on part 2 now. So it's a good movie. I look forward to watching it.
Do you make it to part 2, Ernest, or do you die in part 1?
Well, Ernest is a black man, so he has to die in the movie.
He died
right?
in the first 15 minutes, didn't he?
Yeah. He's always the black guy's always the first one to die in these movies. Right?
See, that's racist.
Hey, we can't help who wrote it.
And no, matter of fact, I'm one of the principals. So no, I will
You're a
be
principal.
I will be moving. I will be moving on with the movie as the movies move on. Ray,
What?
take us out. Take us out.
Ray, I've seen better plots in gay porn.
I'm telling you, without P. Diddy.
Hey, what you mean? You talking about the movie is that bad to you? Did you
No,
not like
I'm giving
the movie?
you a hard time. If I was nice to you, no one would believe it.
Great movie.
No. I mean, did you this is not my movie.
It's your movie. You're the
No,
star.
it's not my movie.
You're the
but it's
star,
not my
Ernest.
Star.
I'm one of the stars in the movie. This is Luther and Ray coming out party.
Coming out.
Whoa.
You got to watch how you say that.
Are you saying something I don't know about?
Listen, you two guys can go ahead and come out as gay, but this is not what I'm talking about.
There was that
Not
time
that there's
in
anything
college,
wrong
but,
with that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. If
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
any
yeah,
viewers
so-
out there that may do that.
I mean, I
Yeah,
experimented
so-
in college one weekend, but it wasn't that great. I mean,
Hey, $20 is $20. That's all I can say.
violence.
Hey, Big Ron, I did
Yes.
hear that you played around in a couple of gay clubs. So
Well, yeah. Look,
you and Buff Bagwell.
yes.
Dance.
Well, it was all my dance moves.
I'm telling you. Well, this is the part of the show where we have to thank our sponsor, Reese, Metro Atlanta's only place to go for all your construction needs. And that's RE-SITE, Resite.com. We would like to thank our guest, Ron Reis, an actor extraordinaire, a professional wrestler like no other, the tallest man in wrestling, no matter what they say. He's the
world's
real
tallest
giant.
midget.
He's the real giant.
No,
Always-
this dude is shaped like a 7-foot CeeLo.
Oh,
7-foot CeeLo.
you know what?
Hey,
I
what's
would
the
really
guy-
say that hurts my feelings only because
Hey.
it's true.
What's the guy? What's his name? CeeLo. You
CeeLo
remember
Green.
Yeah, CeeLo
Driving
Green.
around the house.
Yeah. Hey, he looked like a 7-foot white CeeLo Green.
I like F-U.
But hey, listen, Big Ron. I'm glad, man. I'm glad you came on and just tell your story, man. We love to have you back on. You have something you want to
Part
come and
2
push.
of the replacements.
This
Part
is
2,
good.
yes.
This is
Well,
good.
that's
And
what I'm trying to get a pay-per-view with Tonga.
hey,
Big
Big Ron, why you talking now when I'm trying to close out and you weren't saying nothing at first? So I get ready to go, you want to start yelling over me.
He's the man, the myth, the legend.
Come on,
His name
Big
is
Ron.
Ernest the
Big
Cat
Ron.
Miller.
Hey, Big
I
Ron.
am Big Show. Big Shug. Big Show. He trained the Big Show.
Big Shug.
Yeah, baby.
Hey, I tell you what, Ron Reis, one of the best guys to work with. I'm glad he's here. He was an honest guy. He was not like a lot of guys. I didn't see him ever drunk, drinking. The way when he came to work in
That's
the right
right.
way.
That's right.
So it was a pleasure working with you back in old WCW days, Ron, and it's good talking to you today.
Are you still the butler on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
That's him.
Oh,
That's him.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
him. Folks, thanks for tuning in to the Cat's Corner. We will be back this week with another fine episode of the Cat's Corner.
Not as good as my episode, though.
Not as good as this one, though. This one's going down in the annals of history.